Endgame. What is the endgame for PSO2 New Genesis? You might be asking, especially if you're a new player. Congratulations, you are looking at it. Welcome back to your #1 stop for PSO2 New Genesis gameplay, how-tos, and all that jazz. And today we are back to discuss exactly what Endgame is for New Genesis and what you can expect from it, as a lot of you are starting to get closer and closer to it inside the PS4 and PS5 version, or maybe you are just a new player that came in on other platforms. But before we hop into all that, I do want to give a giant thank you to everybody that's supporting me over on Patreon as well as Twitch, and we will go more information into that in a bit. But for now, let's go ahead and discuss Endgame in New Genesis. So to start off, a New Genesis at the time of this video, we will have, of course, a brand new expansion coming sometime in December. So it will probably update a little bit, or want to actually come, more than likely, probably not. Because let's be honest, the Endgame and NGS haven't really changed all that much since launch. And now, as we are 2 expansion deep, it's still pretty much about the same. But with that being said, as of now, the endgame is mainly going to be taking place in the kaizaar region, which is called the snow area. And also, we do have what most of you probably have already affiliated with Alio, as well, most of you probably are right now, which is called Retain. So each of the areas are each expansion, but for now, kaizaar is the in-game zone. But with that said, there is a handful of what could technically be counted as quote-unquote in-game in NGS. So the first one we're going to go ahead and talk about going to be weapons. Since NGS have a handful of weapons, as you can see here, and they are broken into a weapon series. So of course, right now we are looking at rifles, but just know they pretty much carry across into all other weapon types as well. So the 2 weapons of in-game right now is of course our very first one, are rugged weapon. The weapons are called RNG, and they are dropped from taking part in a handful of different activity, such as dropping from level 51 plus bosses, from a kaizaar region, or from drop from origin quests inside of kaizaar as well. You have a chance to get your hands on this, but just know the weapons are extremely limited and very hard to come by. So without you get extremely lucky, more than likely you will probably not be getting your hands on it, as someone who has spent, honestly, probably quote to 100 if not more trying to get my hands on rugged weapons. And well, as you can imagine, I still don't have one, because that's just how PSO is. But usually when we get a new region, we get into one weapon series that fit that bill. In Retain, it was the relics, and in kaizaar, it rugged. And it will probably be the same once we get the volcano later this year. And then our net weapon type, that is more or less the more actual in-game, and the one that you are more likely to get your hands on, which is of course your kaizaar weapons. And kaizaar is a little bit weaker than rugged, as you can see here with a court rugged being able to do max damage of 676. And then kaizaar can do 671. So as far as getting your hands on this weapon, this is totally different. This is not RNG at all, because you will get that weapon unlocked by an NPC named Riso. You will unlock the quest as soon as you finish up the main story of New Genesis, as of now anyway. And she will require you to do a few things, such as hunting dreads or veterans, which we will go more into in a moment, as well as enhanced enemies. And of course, if you are trying to unlock enhanced enemy, the best way to do it at the time of that video is of course doing mining wig and Retain when it comes to origin quests. So if you got their quests and you're trying to find them, that is honestly the best way to get them. Once again, it is RNG waiting for that quest to spawn. But you can find them scattered across in other areas as well. But if you want to get it done quick and it's available to you, I highly recommend that origin quest. But with that being said here, she will of course be able to give us a handful of items here, such as are kaizaars. So the kaizaars are single weapons tied to pretty much each of the classes, and of course they will require you to do a few things. So to start off, as you can see, we have the requirement of having a walk weapon at a plus 50. The items you can go ahead and find from defeating certain dreads, as well as you have a chance of getting them inside of the brand new cannonball missions as well. You can get your hands on it. Just know there is certain enemy, if you go the dread route, that will drop these. And of course, you need to look into which dread you are finding for your specific weapon. The thing is though, if you have a walk weapon or you're going to get one off the player shop and you're planning on using it for a bit, do not add any augment, do not upgrade it, because none of that stuff going to carry over. So walk weapons are pretty much, at the time of this video, are good weapons, but not weapons you want to invest in, because once you trade it in for your kaizaar, you will lose everything that is on it. So go ahead, save your money, or maybe if you're going to buy it off the player shop or get lucky and get some drops, ideally maybe having two walk weapons, one you're using so you can get your kaizaar, and then one that untouched that just meant to trade in. So outside of that, we have ourselves, of course, ice cubes. These are going to be a little more complex, because you need to farm a very specific enemy from the gorge down here, and this area is pretty unique to PSO right now, or the only area like that, which is, of course, the area is extremely dangerous. Not because the mobs are high level, they are, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is, of course, as you run out into it, after a few seconds, you will start noticing the area itself will actually start doing damage to your character. So you will slowly start losing health. So there are a few ways to deal with this. Of course, the easier way to deal with this is, of course, by hitting up one of the Aruka devices, and you want to go ahead and cook you some food, and you mainly want to use items that have kaizaar in the name, because as you use 3 or more of kaizaar food, you will start getting boot to a low temperature damage. So if you go ahead and cook 10 of these, you will go ahead and get yourself 30% boots to it, so that 30% from your damage. And of course, if you can get over 100% on your temperature, you are good. You don't got to worry about damage at all in this area, and you can freely afford it. The thing that comes from this is, you, once again, like I just showed, you can get this from food. You can also get the buffs as well from, of course, equipment. Since there is some equipment that will have bonus stats on them that will help with temperature. You can also get your hands on augments that you can put into your weapon and armor that also can help heal. So ideally, you want to try to get your temperature up as much as possible. Your low temperature damage won't do anything to you, and once again, you can run around nice and free. So once you have roughly 100% or more, you want to make your way to the cave right here that you can go ahead and see on the map right here. So inside of the cave, there is a chance for a enemy that will spawn that we want to go ahead and make sure we kill. The thing to keep in mind though, this enemy is very much in game, and it is ideally to be on a block with anywhere from 20 to max of a 32 player to take out. And you will notice this spot right here will be called Ancients, and there is actually 2 distant enemies that spawned in that cave, only in that cave, that will have the item you need for the cubes. So what the deal is every time you kill one of the enemies, you will of course have a chance of getting anywhere from a 1 to 4 ice cubes once it has been defeated, and that will of course be the item we need for our kaizaar. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that item, and I will be right back. And there we go, and I got my hands on 2 cubes. And of course, if you do want to double check and make sure about what your temperature is, just in case you are still taking damage anyway running around that zone or fighting this part, you can do so by going over to your personal information and go to character information and you will go ahead and see where your temperature resistant is at the moment, with of course mine being thanks to my food, I got a put 30, and then of course I have another put 10 here for my regional mag, since also feeding your mag in Kaizaar will also boost up your temperature. And then I have another 10% from the mag as well, and then another 125 altogether on my armor. So there is where you can actually find out exactly what your temperature are at the moment. But now that we got our hands on the cubes, we got a couple other items we need to get our hands on for this in-game activity, which is ice orbs. And of course you're going to need 900 of these, and as you can see, this is a real grind. But as far as the ice orbs, these are a little more simple to come by, because spread out all quark Kaizaars, you will find the ice boxes of frozen over. These once again will be scattered everywhere. Don't get me wrong, some zones have more than other, such as example here is being in central Kaizaar. You can go ahead and find you probably like around 10 to 20 of these here, and of course in other places as well. But these all require you to do specific things to open them. First of all, we can go ahead and we can try to find one of the little yellow bikes and grab one of the items and throw it at it, and that will break it open. And if you can't find any of that gathered around, our next option is of course our snowboard, because our snowboard also have the ability to break open these as well. And that is how you get your hands on this. There is another one that is specifically like RNG, which would be of course by hanging out in the ruins over here, which is of course one of the 2 battle sectors for New Genesis. And by hanging out in here, there is a chance that you can get a trial mission, or the mission with the T's, to spawn. Well, the whole mission will spawn another like 10 to 15 of the chests that you can break. So if you're out here leveling, you might also have a chance to get your hands on these as well. So that is also fantastic. You can also get the, not as many, but every once in a while, depending on the origin quests, you might also get some as a reward as well. And the final thing we need for our relic weapon is of course our Blizzaria. Blizzaria is kind of irritating in some ways here. So Blizzaria, you have a random chance of also being able to get them from the chests, but it's super well. You can also mine one of these every day inside of Kaizaar. You have a chance to get your hands on it. And then the most quickest way to get your hands on the is going through a court resale in our shop, which you can go ahead and get 20 of these a week. And as you can imagine, since you need, what was that? I think it was 150. Yeah, 150 of these. You can see how the grind is going to take you up to a month to get your hands on your kaizaar weapon. But to get your hands on the stuff from Weasel, all you will do is, of course, trade in 4 distant a mining material tool. And for every 10 you trade in of the 4, you will get your hands on one of these. And of course, the will reset on the Wednesday. So every Wednesday, you will get 20 more added back to the shop. So if you are running around picking up mining material, or if you haven't been doing it yet, this is the reason you need to be picking them up. And you can find 3 of these spread out mainly in Alio, and then of course one of them being very heavily found in Retain. So as long as you are farming materials, you should be good to go here. There is another way to get the materials here outside of farming them through mining, which is of course by talking to the NPC that will handle your weapon upgrade. There will be an option down here with exchange enhance material. And from here, you can get materials. You can get your hands on armor finder and other stuff. But of course, these 4 materials are right here. The main thing that you need to get your hands on that Blizzaria. And of course, to get your hand on each of these are also tied to weekly. So this NPC will have 20 of each item that you can get, same as before, resets on Wednesday. but this time you do gotta trade in Grindle to get your hands on this. So that brings us to the next thing. If you see Wappies around, or if you see green chests, ideally, if you're able to, you want to go ahead and break as many green chests as you can to stockpile your grindles for this, as well as crafting other weapons as well. But mainly in in-game, it's mainly just going to be to unlock this. So let's go ahead and talk about something that can come in handy for in-game, especially if you're a free-to-play player or you just don't like spending that much money, which is a called tied to dreads or veterans. They are kind of interchangeable. As for the naming scheme, they're the same thing. But you will find enemies scattered around, such as the crocodile here, with, of course, being veteran or dread in their name. So the main reason you want to hunt these, and which in return you will, of course, if you look on the Luca device, usually you will find a group of people, 20 or more, farming these. You can also do these solo, but of course doing it with other players will, of course, make it go a lot faster. But the main reason you want to be farming these is, of course, mainly for the equipment it drop, and any more so when it comes to like the augment they drop. Since augments in this is easily, as a free-to-play player, one of the best way to make your money from the player shop, any more so since you can only sell stuff in the player shop for 3 days at a time as a free-to-play player. So ideally, by hunting these down and collecting other equipment, you will have, of course, a higher way of updating your battle power, getting better equipment by putting augment in them, as well as, once again, making money for you to use. Might it be for other equipment, might it be for upgrade, or might it be for cosmetics. So when you get the in-game, affect probably a lot of farming the enemies just to get your hands on the augments for whichever reason you want to farm. Might it be money, might it be for yourself. So be prepared to do a lot of dread farming. And let's go ahead and talk about the biggest horse in the room when it comes to in-game, which is, of course, fashion. Sadly, I wasn't joking at the beginning of the video. Well, there is, as you can see, some stuff you can do in in-game, but a lot of the true in-gamers is a pretty much fashion itself. And of course, not only to be like the cube dude that I'm standing at too, but also tied to, of course, the gacha mechanic and the banners. Since a PSO do put out banners, or pretty much we get about 2 to 3 every month. And because of that, there is hundreds and hundreds of new outfits and other knick-knack that get added to the game. And some of it is obviously meant for free-to-play player, as example here with, of course, having a daily scrap ticket that we able to pull from once a day, and of course they change out every a couple weeks. We also have our SG scrap tickets, with these all called tied to Star Gem, which you can get by doing in-game stuff as well as stuff in bait PSO, or you can also spend real money on it if you want. And then of course we do have, at any given time, we usually have about 4 to 5 actual AC scratches. These are 100% tied to in-game money. And of course, lots of players take this stuff very, very seriously when it comes to making your character as good looking as humanly possible. And also, scrap tickets and items are very much desirable, since if you are someone who is, of course, spending a real money to get your hands on the items, you can also sell the items on the player shop for in-game currency as well. So, of course, actually getting your hands on outfits are not only a way to express yourself, a way to show up to other players, and as well as a way to make money. If you are looking into PSO as far like a super in-game way, dungeon heavy style game, that's not what NGS is at the moment. Don't get me wrong, we have Origin quests for a Wade, we have, of course, the pink lady standing in front of us, and we also, of course, have like quests such as the pyramid quests, and of course doing the cannonball missions as well. but they're not quite in-game by any means. They kind of more of there as a middle point before in-game or a distraction at best. So when it comes to in-game yourself, you mainly just looking at farming up, of course, kaizaar equipment, farming up your rugged weapons as of now, and of course trying to look as great, hot, sexy, apocalyptic, or I get nightmare fuel if you want to go that way as well. And that is pretty much what PSO Endgame is at the moment anyway, and have been since launch. And in some cases, you can say this also been pretty much what it was any in bait PSO as well. And with all that being said, thank you all for checking out today's video. And of course, I do want to give a giant thank you to everybody that is supporting over on Patreon, as well as over on twitch.tv/TroyMaconn, where I stream every day right now, starting around 7:15 p.m. Central, playing all the MMOs such as Tower Fantasy and also mainly PSO2. So be sure to come on over and of course hit that wonderful subscribe button, or maybe if you have Amazon Prime, get your hands a free sub. But with all that being said, that's gonna go ahead and do it for me. Let me know in the comment below if there's anything else you think I might have missed, or if you have any idea for maybe some in-games that we might get in the future. Let me know below. And of course, with that, that's gonna go ahead and do it for me, and I will see you all in the comments. And also anime boobs as well. The true Endgame.